This is KTVO's Good Morning Heartland.
And welcome back. Cooler weather is upon us, which means many of us will be turning on our heaters if we haven't already. But it could also mean we could be paying more when it comes to our utility bills. To give us some tips on how to avoid that, we have Tim Peters from Peters Heating and Air Conditioning here this morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Happy Veterans Day.
Happy Veterans Day to you too. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about experts recommend testing your systems before you actually put it on full blast for the wintertime. Why is that important?
Well, if you have a gas furnace, we want to make sure that it's running at its most efficient, that it's not producing any carbon monoxide. It's very important. There's a lot of safeties in there. You want to make sure you don't have a cracked heat exchanger or something else going on. With electric furnaces, we want to make sure that there's wires not burnt. With boilers, same as with a gas furnace. There's a lot of safeties and things that should be checked.
And you want to obviously do that before you actually use it. So if there is any repairs needed, we can do that in a timely fashion and before you actually need to use it, right?
That's right. By now, most people have already had theirs on, or if they haven't, they're pretty tough.
Yeah.
But if it's been running for a while, it's not a bad idea to have it checked then, because after it's run for a while, it could develop a problem.
Well, so you were saying, how you can, if there's a crack or anything like that, how would somebody be able to tell that? Because there's no hot air coming out, or?
If there's a crack in the heat exchanger or a burnt wire, the burnt wire may not show up, the crack in the heat exchanger may not show up in anything that a homeowner could tell. It's best to get a professional out there with a proper instrumentation to check those things out.
Okay, now let's talk about filters. We obviously know that we need to change them. How often do we need to change them?
We recommend you check them at least once a month. And on most of your filters, there's a little arrow, and that arrow, when you put it into your furnace or your electric furnace, the arrow should point towards the equipment.
Okay.
And that's something that people often get confused. But check it once a month. You may not have to change it once a month, but at least check it at the beginning of the month.
All right, and what are some ways that we can keep this clean so we don't have to constantly replace them? Are there any tips to do that?
There's really no good way to keep the filter from getting dirty. Whatever air goes through it, whatever dirt is in the air is gonna get trapped by the filter. You can have your ducts cleaned. There are several companies around here that do that. They'll come out and clean the ducts, but that's a kind of a one-time deal. You don't do that every year or very often.
Right.
You can try to clean out your return air registers with your own vacuum.
And what about vents? Like you just mentioned, a vacuum. Can we go ahead and take a vacuum hose to it and kind of?
You can. You can. You may not be able to get in very far, but every little bit helps.
So obviously this is a clean one, right?
Yes.
So we know that if you have it like this, you don't need to replace it. What would a dirty one look like, and when would we know to replace it?
Well, it would be discolored, and you may be able to hold a clean one up to the light and see the light through it. A dirty one will be gray for the most part, or have animal hair in it, but you may not be able to see the light coming through the small holes in the filter.
Okay. Any other tips you want to share with us?
Just be careful out there. Make sure that you've got a carbon monoxide detector if you have a gas appliance, and a smoke detector too.
All right. And if they have any questions, we're more than welcome to call you at
Absolutely.
Peters Heating and Air Conditioning, because you are the experts. What we'll do is we'll post everything on our website at heartlandconnection.com. We'll also post your information and link up your website as well if they have any questions. Thank you so much for coming on.
It was fun being here.
And we'll be right back.